Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am going to be doing a new YouTube series called Cooking with Cass. It's basically just going to be me coming on here in front of the camera, making one recipe out of my cookbook called Cooking with Cass here. It has 165 easy diet-friendly recipes. Every recipe has a photo, and every recipe has the macronutrient breakdown and the calories for that recipe. Very simple. If you're on a diet trying to cut fat for summer, best go-to diet-friendly cookbook, especially if you count macros. Also, whenever I did my bodybuilding show, I used a lot of these recipes for that 6-month prep, and it definitely came in handy, and that's one reason why I decided to create the cookbook. It's to help people who track their macros have delicious meal ideas for whenever they started to get bored with their meals. So let's jump right into it. This morning I'm going to make this roasted tomato mozzarella frittata. Very good. Let me show you up close. It's gonna look better once I have it finished. So for this recipe, you know, you always have to have coffee too, so definitely a coffee lover, and this book has coffee recipes as well. Alright, let's get back to it. Roasted tomato mozzarella frittata. So we're gonna need 3 Roma tomatoes here, and that's gonna be the start because these are gonna have to cook before we can move forward. So basically I've already rinsed them. I'm going to just cut them lengthwise here. Throw them on the pan right side up. I'm sorry, cut side up. And I'm gonna spray a little olive oil on each one, a little salt, and some basil. So most of these recipes in this cookbook are recipes that I came up with, that I created on my own, but there are quite a few recipes that are, I guess you could say, floating around on the internet. They're not necessarily from any certain person, but from like the fitness world where you have your protein pancakes and, you know, those simple recipes like that. But most of them I kind of tweaked and came up with them on my own. This is one of them, and this one's pretty delicious. Now I've got the oven preheated to 400 degrees, and we're gonna cook these for 25 minutes. Okay, so while those are cooking, we've got 25 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and get all of the other ingredients measured out. I am going to be using my food scale and my measuring cups because we're tracking macros here. We want to make sure that it's precise. If you're not all about that, you don't have to do that. But for the people who are counting macros, your food scale and your measuring cups are going to be very helpful. Okay, so the rest of our ingredients, we have eggs, egg whites. I just like to use a carton. It calls for 2 cups, so it's a lot of egg whites to use. And I get this Jenny O regular turkey sausage, and then mozzarella cheese. The recipe calls for a 2%, like a low-fat mozzarella, but this is what I have, so this is what I'll use. And some cottage cheese here. First things first, we've got to cook the turkey sausage. Got a skillet here. So just remember that if you're changing up any of the ingredients, it will change the macronutrient breakdown and the calories. So because I'm using like this full fat mozzarella, which is not a big deal, it's going to change up the macronutrients. Just keep that in mind whenever you're going to buy your ingredients. Most of the ingredients that are in these recipes you can find at your local grocery store, and it's not that big of a deal. But if you want to exchange them out, just make sure that you understand that the calorie count might change. And I know that, I mean, if you are really serious about counting your macros and your calories, you can always input it into MyFitnessPal and it'll calculate it there for you. So let's get to cooking. So here is the cooked ground turkey. Here. It calls for 4 ounces raw weight of this, so I just measured out 2 servings because that's what that equals out to. And made me a cup of coffee. Oh, and the tomatoes are done, so let me show you what those look like. Okay, so they should look pretty well cooked here. And they're hot, but you see how they've cooked down, and we're gonna take the skin off here in a minute. Okay, so next up, we are going to combine the turkey sausage, egg whites, cottage cheese, mozzarella, and salt and pepper to taste because everyone likes a different amount of salt and pepper. So let's get all of these things mixed up in our bowl. So we got 2 cups of egg whites, which is, I'm not even going to use that. I'm just going to use my scale here. And 2 cups is 16 ounces, so set that on there. Alright, 15.5, good enough. Next up, we have, that's so funny, we don't even need whole eggs. That's the different recipe. We'll put those to the side and dump this turkey sausage in there. Cheese, we have 2 servings, which is, what is that? 56 grams. So I'm just gonna set this bowl on here. So in each recipe, it does give you like the ounces or the grams in the serving sizes to make it easy for measuring on your scale. So we've got 2 servings of mozzarella cheese, and then we have a cup of this cottage cheese, which again, this is a different brand than what the recipe calls for, but it's still low-fat cottage cheese. The macros might change a little bit, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. And if you want to make sure it's as precise as possible, just use your MyFitnessPal, plug it in, and there you go. Super easy. So we've got, what did I say? 1 cup. A half cup is 110 grams. We've got 220 grams of cottage cheese, which is right about there. Okay. So we are done with that. And then we want to, so we've got the sauce, turkey sausage, egg whites, cottage cheese, mozzarella, salt, and pepper. Mix it all up. I'm just using a spoon. You can use whatever your heart desires. And a little bit more coffee. Okay, so I think I'm done with the skin. So you see how easy this recipe is. You basically just cook the sausage, the tomatoes, and then you throw everything in a bowl and mix it up. Super simple. Okay, so I'm gonna set this to the side. And so I like a lot of pepper. I'm probably going to add a little bit more pepper to this. And so we have all this mixed up. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in our 9-inch pie dish. I'm going to spray really good with some olive oil. You can do the store-bought spray, but I like to, this is like a glass bottle I bought on Amazon, and I just refill it with the olive oil. And it's just a lot cheaper than buying the can. And I like to use a paper towel, get it nice and oiled up so it doesn't stick. Throw that in the trash and pour this in without making a mess, which I tend to do sometimes. So there's that and that. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side, and then we're going to get our tomatoes. And now this is where we are going to take off the skin. They've kind of cooled down, so it's easy to just do it with your hands. See, the skin just comes right off. So this recipe with the tomatoes, the mozzarella cheese, and like the basil seasoning makes it taste very Italian. And I love Italian. So we're gonna chop these babies up. Just kind of like big chunks. You wanna roughly chop them. So maybe into quarters. And it's a little messy, but that's okay. If you're not messy in the kitchen, you're probably not cooking. That's my new motto. Okay, so now we're just going to distribute these tomatoes evenly throughout the frittata, like this. And put these away. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. So this is what you should have after you've put your tomatoes in the mixture. Now this is the time that you might want to add a little bit more salt and pepper. So it's really that easy. I added a little bit more pepper and probably a little salt here. Okay. So next, you just bring the oven down to 375 and you're gonna bake this for about 45 minutes until the center is set. So let's go put this in the oven and I will show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so our frittata is done. This is what it looks like, as you just saw. So now it's time to flip it out of the pie plate. So I'm just gonna take a knife. It's kind of like a cake. And you want to loosen up the edges. And hopefully it didn't stick. Kind of thinking it may have a little bit. But we're gonna do this anyway. So I'm gonna plate because it's still a little hot. Gonna flip. And then I just kind of bang the bottom a little bit. And it's still not out. Let's do this a different way. Spatula. So, just gonna kind of force it out of there. Making sure that all of the bottom is still intact. Kind of smells like pizza, which is making me hungry. Okay, let's try this again. And we're gonna flip. And I heard it come out. Okay. And now, just because I want the top to show, I'm gonna flip it again. And dirty up all the plates in the kitchen. Okay. So here it is. And this recipe makes 5 servings. Perfect for Monday through Friday. Have a really quick breakfast that is full of protein. It's got like 5 grams of fat, 5 carbs. You could eat this with some toast or some oatmeal on the side, and you have breakfast. So I'm going to just cut it up into 5 servings. I'm not in a prep right now, so I'm not going to be diligent about the actual grams of each serving size. But if you are counting your macros precisely and you are in a prep, or if you're just trying to be really strict to cut down for summer, you can always just measure the entire frittata on your scale and then divide it into 5, and then you'll cut up your 5 slices. Okay. Well, that was fun. Glad you guys came along with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you are interested in the cookbook, I will link it down below where you can learn more about it on the website and purchase it if you would like to. But I will be doing more of these videos in the future, probably 1 per month, and I also might be doing it tipsy. Tipsy Cooking with Cass was the idea that I had for this series, and so I will have to start doing it on the weekend. Probably the next one will be Tipsy Cooking with Cass. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for coming along, and if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend if you want. I know sometimes your meals can get boring, and this is just a good way to spice things up, especially if you're in a cut or if you're in a bodybuilding prep. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.